Hey guys, Ted from Nerdarchy here. 4 nerds by nerds, hanging out with this guy.
Nerdarchist Dave.
So today we're going to talk, just to sum up the gameplay that you did the other day.
Okay, so I got a random invite to a Facebook chat group.
Okay.
From Nelson from Infinite RolePlay. I had vaguely been aware of some of the stuff he's been doing. He does a lot of like maps and RPG maps, and he does a lot of like time-lapse drawing and stuff like that. Well, he's been working on a series and doing a lot of art for it called Saturday Morning Cartoons 5th Edition D&D, essentially. And I had seen something about it, and I guess I left a comment on one of the videos. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Looks like it'll be fun. So he added me to the chat, and he invited a group of us to do some alpha play testing.
Cool.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm really interested in it. It's essentially just D&D 5th edition, but he's added some mechanics, he's changed a few things, he's tweaked the races and classes.
Okay.
And he's really basing the game off of like action cartoons and bigger than life heroes, and like A-Team style, where like there's all kinds of explosions and gunfire, but no one ever really gets hurt.
Right.
It was his theory, like your character never dies, he gets down and he can get back up, and there's mechanics for that.
Nice.
And he introduced a really cool mechanic called Awesome Power that I see a lot of potential for.
So I've watched some of the video that you were in. And I heard at one point in time, it's like, what's your awesome power? So this is the first mechanic that I actually, saw actually come up in the game that was something I wasn't familiar with. So do you want to get into that at all?
Okay, so awesome power is basically based off of your size, and then there's other factors that can affect it.
Okay.
What your awesome power was designed to basically like simplify strength when it comes to grappling, and as a way for you to go, okay, I just beat up an ogre, I want to take his club and wield it. Can I wield it with one hand or two? Or not at all, right? Well, it goes by your awesome power.
Okay.
As a Weisenheimer dwarf, one of the dwarf characteristics was when you use armor and weapons, the awesome power rating for the weapon is reduced by 1, because that determines almost like the size and how easily you can either wear armor or handle a weapon.
Okay.
Is its awesome power level.
Okay.
So already the dwarf reduces it by 1. So I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then there's a feat, I work out, which raises your awesome power by 1. So now that brings me up to a 2. 1 for being medium, 1 for being raised up is 2, and then I'm reducing shield, armor, shields, weapons by 1 now. And then there, one of the classes is warrior. Well, one of the warrior archetypes is. I think it's I swing a really big weapon or something like that. Right? Everything kind of has that like naming convention.
Right. Right.
And he's only got a handful of classes and a couple races right now. But that one of your ability at 3rd level is reduce awesome power of your weapon by 1.
So as a dwarf, in this particular class, you could be wielding a weapon of awesome power 2 that doesn't actually affect your awesome power in any way, shape, or form?
I was actually wielding a weapon of awesome power 3, and it could have still gone up by...
Another size?
Another size, yeah, and still wielded it with 1 hand. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'm pretty sure it makes the Cloudbuster sword look small.
Well, you actually use that, the weapon that's like, larger than I am.
Like, there's 3 rankings for greatsword. Like, there's 3 versions of the greatsword. It's like big sword, really big sword, and massive sword. And one of the other characters was actually wielding 2 massive swords.
Nice.
So, and then like there's like special dwarven armor that you can wear that you can, I think like it's designed because it's got the higher AP that you actually need just to even use it. And then I was using a tower shield on top of that. It was over the top ridiculous. And so, but I was telling Nelson, I like the awesome power mechanic, but I would like to see it used more and explored more. And we talked about it on camera a little bit, and he was very receptive to that. Like, like my suggestions were like, awesome power, like for the rogues, you could allow them to do Matrix type stuff. Awesome power for the wizard is bigger booms. Awesome power for the priest is their more intervention from their deity.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. He did things like instead of just regular inspiration, there was the inspiration golden coin.
Okay.
So the story would happen, and there would always be there would be a narrator that would pop in and out, which was this brownie.
Right.
And when someone would get inspiration, he would pop in and throw them a golden coin that they could use for inspiration.
Nice. I wonder if we've ever done anything with golden coins.
I know, that's just kind of funny, because at our table, we actually, if you guys watch our games, we give out golden coins as inspiration. Pure coincidence. And then the other thing he does is, there's certain things that can make you gain and lose XP during the session.
Oh.
And the numbers are much smaller.
Okay.
Like single digits.
Okay.
So, I was talking to him about that as well. I was like, well, are you going to, since you can lose it and gain it throughout the session, are you going to possibly add mechanics in to actually expend it, other than just leveling up?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is, I could definitely see other races and classes using the AP mechanic in different ways. He's already has the precedent where, only for a weapon or only for armor and shield. So I don't see why he couldn't do other things whether maybe a high elf gains 1 AP only to be used for magic, so his awesome power would be 2 if it has something to do with magic, or a class feature that ups or could possibly up or decrease the need for AP for certain things.
You could have the Dragonborn be able to use his awesome power for his breath weapon.
Yeah, possibly maybe a higher awesome power increases your damage or range or something like that. It's just I don't know what he's going to do with it, how he's going to explore it, but I see that was the one mechanic that really grabbed hold of me when I was reading through. And since the first time he gave me the PDF rules, I've gotten a second set of rules. So it's definitely a work in progress. He's calling it his alpha play tests. Eventually, I'm sure it's going to be a product that he's going to be selling through his store on RPG Drive-Thru, which right now you can go there and he's got maps and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to get a copy of that.
Now, the other thing too that I was saying is if he's removing the death mechanic and you can kind of bounce back up, and every time you get up you get a level of exhaustion. He really likes to use exhaustion for different things.
I saw that.
So, my suggestion was if you're going to use exhaustion like that, you have to have more ways to remove it.
Right.
I think what he was saying is it doesn't last as long when he's using it for spells and effects. But I think even if you're, I think even if you're using it to get back up mechanic, it still has to go away a little bit faster. And the reason why that would be good in this type of game is because I think you should be knocking your players down more often as well to really emphasize that you just had an anvil fall on you, push it off and get back up, kind of deal. The other thing that's interesting too is the idea is that you're playing a game using violence without consequences, much like the cartoons we grew up on.
Correct.
So I think in his mind, and this is what I'm seeing and feeling as well, is the idea that this is a game that can be presented to younger and less mature audiences as a way to kind of get them into playing an RP game and making it more like cartoon violence where it's less real, I guess. And I don't know what the psychological damage to those children are for that or not. I don't worry about that so much.
Well, the thing that I really enjoyed, because I watched some of the gameplay that you were in, and it was very interesting to see some seasoned role players really unsure about how to proceed in certain areas. It's all right, here's a situation, and you guys you can initially see the gears turning of okay, well, in order to do this, how has it been done in movies and games?
How would Bugs Bunny do this? Is really.
But I mean, your initial thought patterns didn't go that way. You went the typical gaming route. You went, well, I need to shrink, or I need to do this, and you had to put that aside and try the Bugs Bunny route, as you would call it.
Yeah,
And
like the
that's when
solution
things-
to the puzzles were actually like punny.
Right.
You know, so you had to like get in that mindset. And once I realized that, I'm like, all right, well, yeah, how would Wile E. Coyote do this?
And that really, like, you know, I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I would like to see him too. And I discussed this a little bit, like doing a chapter or a section in his book about different cartoon styles, like Looney Tunes to more serious, like Thundercats and G.I. Joe and whatever might be in between that, like Darkwing Duck type character might be in between Looney Tunes
Right.
and your G.I. Joes. Right. And maybe there's something, other genres too that you could borrow from. Much in the way Green Ronin does with their Mutants and Masterminds, they're really good at breaking down the different comic book ages,
right,
and what that would mean in your game. So I feel like you could actually steal and borrow from that a little bit, and it would add more content, more depth, and I think it'd be interesting and also helpful to the GMs and the players that want to play this style to figure out what kind of game they're going to play.
Right, and that's all something that can be discussed at a session 0. Be like, all right, well, I'm looking to go this direction as the DM. Make players, make your characters that are going to fit, or vice versa. Okay, guys, what are you interested in playing? I'll run that style game.
The other thing too, I didn't recommend this. If you catch this, Nelson, here's an idea. I'll have to hit you up on Facebook if not. There's literally an RPG called Toon.
Right.
So he might want to look through that for some inspiration as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
See if there's interesting mechanics he can borrow or steal from there, or concepts to actually add into it. It's nice because of what he's done. In a sense, you get to lend off the popularity of D&D, and at its core, it is D&D. It really borrows a lot of the rules and mechanics from that,
right?
With some slight modifications,
right?
And so adding some corniness, and like one of the races he included as one of his first races is the Changeling.
Okay.
The Changeling appears all over throughout this 33-page book.
Uh-huh.
It's a barrel with legs and arms and eye holes. It's hilarious. It's great. And I really enjoy the art that he's put forward to go with it. Like if you're watching his game, you probably saw his overlay that he did.
He's got all kinds of guys.
Yeah, and he did an overlay for Barlow, Josh's character.
Right. It's
funny, there's a half-orc cleric. It looks like he's performing CPR on one of the guys. So it's like in some ways his art reminds me a little bit of Pathfinder, except for it's a little more whimsical, a little more I want to say comic booky, but not even more cartoony, I guess is what it would be.
Right.
But it fits what the game he's going for.
Right.
I want to get in on some more of his play tests, and I hope he'll take some more of my suggestions. I think he's on to something.
I think so as well.
It needs a lot more work though, and that was kind of like his realization as we're talking. He's like, I thought I was almost done, but I see where I can definitely tweak this, and that's cool too because there's definitely some sections in there where he can make it his own and make it unique and interesting.
Very cool.
So I recommend you check it out when you get a chance.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've already started watching the gameplay that you were in. I'll have to, figure out where he's got this and get a copy.
Nice. I saw it on his fan page. I don't know if it's still going to be there, for the alpha and the beta.
Right.
Because I think he plans on selling it at some point on RPG Drive-Thru. But right now, you might be able to pick up and see what he's got going on in the
worst case scenario.
alpha.
I'll certainly get a copy there.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? Does this sound like an awesome concept? Would you play Saturday morning D&D? Put your thoughts and comments down below while you're at it. Like, share, even subscribe.
You can check us out at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.